Hello and welcome to this continuing live coding series. We're creating a website from scratch with Python, Django, and the Wagtail CMS. The website we're working on is for a nonprofit organization called Western Friend. It's going to have a number of features, including a community directory, online magazine with subscribers. We'll have a bookstore, a multimedia library. And our tentative deadline is to have most of the work done late July, maybe August, and start migrating the content from the old website shortly thereafter. And hopefully launch in around September. Today I'm going to do some cleanup work and going back over a little bit of work I demoed. Last session I met with Mary Klein, the editor of Western Friend, and we discussed how the work was coming along and some of the trade-offs with the design process. In particular, we have these library item model, and we're going to try to add a faceted search to this library items collection. And the main search facets you can see here. And if I come back over here to the library, to the model, what we did for the first iteration was hard code these choices into the model code, which is a convention in many Django projects. The alternative to that would be to allow a user at runtime to define these and create collections for each of these sort of categories, means of categorization for library items and or other content types. These are most relevant to library items. So my initial thought was that I would do it in code, and we would maintain these vocabulary in code through commits, which would give us sort of precision on how we display them and link them to other documents. For example, if we have a meeting that has published some poems, or more specifically epistles, we can actually do a query, and we know that epistle is a value here. And so we can, in the meeting page, show just the epistles or letters from that meeting. If we don't hard code these values, the trade-off is we get flexibility to define them at runtime and manage them and change them, which also could lead to errors if you change the title of one of these. It would reflect that title in all of the places where it's been related. If you delete one, we'd have to figure out how to handle the deletion. But we also can't do explicit queries like show me the epistles for this meeting. At least at my point of knowledge with Django and Wagtail, I'm sort of starting to have a glimmer of an idea on how that might be possible to do a filter at runtime, sort of similar to Django view or Drupal views. But I haven't seen a concrete example of it. Might be able to work it out with Streamfield. But in any case, so after speaking with Mary, we decided not to hard code these. So today I'm going to do a couple things. First is clean up some files. When we scaffold these apps, a bunch of files are created because Django has some specific, that's not a good example, file structure it expects, and we want to follow those conventions certainly. But where we're not using a file like this admin.py, I'm going to clean it up so any newcomer to the repository just doesn't get confused by the unused files. I'll leave this app config since it seems to be used, and I'll leave the tests in place as a friendly reminder that we need to be writing tests. So let's just run through that. The second part will be to migrate these over to their own collections. Create the relationship to the library item collection. It would be a, let's see, there would be many to one. In one case, it's many to many, though I have to figure that one out. I think with topics, and we might also deprecate topics because it's a little bit redundant with keywords. And a future session, I'll have to put a UI for keyword management. I don't think Wagtail comes with that out of the box, but it gives us a really quick way to define keywords, but not manage them if I wanted to delete. Keyword. In any case, I don't know. There's a lot to learn about Wagtail and Django, etc. Alright, I'm going to work just directly in Master Branch here real quick for this cleanup task. I'm the only developer on this project. We do have some developers who have offered a little bit of time to review code, for example, but haven't committed to any specific tasks at this juncture. Okay, so I'm just going to close that out. Alright, so contact is clear, events, admin is not in use. Views are no longer in use. Another thing is I need to get these fixtures working again with new data. It's a little bit, tedious to get this thing set up with data off when I have to reset the database or whatever. So maybe we'll do that pretty soon, maybe at the end of this session. Let's see how things go. Models test, whoops, views is also, I don't know what the default is here, selected. I might port this over to being a regular Wagtail page, magazine department. It is hard. Excuse me. I might not need to do this as a view, just to have. Oops, let me see this URL here. Using the slug department. Well, that was one of the first things I did in Wagtail, so maybe I did it slightly unconventional by the way this project has emerged. So yeah, unused. Yeah, I like that Django gives you clean conventions, and Wagtail clean conventions to follow. I just don't need the noise right now in the repo. Alright, so let's go ahead and think for just a second. We're gonna need a branch. Push that up there. And a little bit of tea. Got an Earl Grey tea. Just happened to be out of milk or oat milk at the moment, so I'm drinking it without. All right, let's go into the library. Models. So yeah, basically this app, we have library items, which can be different types of media. And those can be authored by our contact, more or less. And we have an index page to list them all. And you can only have one index page. This could be a landing page or something like that. I think index is just the word I've been sticking with. Now we have to, our models are a little more complicated. Instead of having these car fields with choices, or character fields with choices, we're going to have a separate model for each of those. Let me think here something. What would be a convention for this? For right now, it can live in the library app. This is, as far as I know, the only place we're going to be using it. I can, if I give it a generic name in the meta class within a model, you can define the table name. I should be doing that with these other ones too. Dang it. We are using Django 2.2. Yeah, I don't like the app prefix. It's not really my style. But I guess it's to reduce the likelihood of table collisions. Particularly if you're writing reusable apps. Quick example would work here, but I believe it's just in the meta. Meta options. All right, let's start. And in this case, I might be okay if we're just going to use these in the library. One of the things Mary and I have discussed is just being cross-cutting in the way we design things so that we don't kind of silo data, and when we can reuse things across different aspects of the site, they'll be consistent for the editor, content editor, and the end user. These audiences, for example, might be used in the library and on magazine articles. So while I do think the library audience, library genre, library medium, and what are relevant here, I'm just kind of thinking through the decision, because it can be hard to migrate that data later. Django might be smart enough that if you, that's a big change, though, moving data from one table to another. So let's go ahead and first I need to remove the fields. And then I need to remove this categorization. We could call these facets. I could create a facets app. This is interesting. I'm just looking for conventional words for things. Huh, yeah, I found some couple cool things there. Good grief. So yeah, I think facets is it's a common word for what we're trying to express here, that more or less we have like these dimensions or ways of categorizing data. Faceted classification. This is probably what we're looking for. This is basically what we're trying to do, I think. Expression of a concept. Huh, no, I don't know. This is pretty meta. Different orderings of the facets. Well, this is it. Basically, this is it in a nutshell. We're trying to help people find the information by filtering results. So it's faceted search. So I see where that term's originating. Facets is also a pretty short word for an app name. And then we could namespace it facets. Let's see, how do we do it? Facets. Plural or singular? I think it's plural. And app name should be plural. Model name is singular. So facets topic, facets medium, facets genre, facets audience. Just let me look at these other cool things real quick. Yeah, this is the kind of interface we're wanting to provide, where you have these numbers, and when you add a facet, it'll reduce the number of results, and you can combine facets. This is cool. Might have to play with this. Just while that's loading, let's see what we got here. Pair code, GitHub facets. That's this. Alright, sorry, had to report a spammer real quick. This is pretty nice too. Okay, well, we're not doing data visualization in this session, but finding some cool stuff. So let's keep the idea of facets going. Huh. Ooh, nice. Wow. Ooh, wow. Ooh, yeah. I gotta share this with a couple of my colleagues. I think they will like that. Whoops. This is nice. We're doing some cool dashboard stuff at where I work, so we can help the company be more data driven. And that's, whoops, loaded now. All right. What do I do with it? I don't have a whole bunch of time to just figure it out, so back to the code. All right. Yeah, I'll try to do a little bit more with data visualization in this live coding kind of context, but right now I've got to get into this longer term project here. So we'll create a new app. Did I run this migration? So yeah, Python. Just getting ready to do that. There we go. Got a little bit of typos. Just double check real quick because I lost the thread. So we were looking at library item. Removed a couple of fields and removed them here as well. So we're good to go. Yes, of course. Gotta be able to type correctly. All right, I'm getting a couple errors here on this. The edit handlers. This might have to do with, let me think where, here we are. Okay, that hadn't saved. That hadn't been saved. That was the deal. It's like, wait a minute. I had got everything moved out of there. All right. There we go. Good stuff. So yeah, I had removed the fields, saved, then removed the actual edit widgets, and then forgotten to save. And yeah, no problem there. Okay. So there we go. Let's commit these. Oh, actually, well, I'll stop it anyway. I've looked this up before, but I believe your apps are plural as a convention. I think I looked it up when I did events. Models are singular, so this should be contacts. So right off the bat, I'm not going to be using admin, and I'm not going to be using views until I need to use admin or views. So So scaffolding in place. I'll leave this models open. We'll come in here. Facets models. Oh wait, this is facets models. There we go. Oops, not management. And we'll do these alphabetically. Audience. So now we have facets audience. That's cool. That's good enough for me. Essentially, we have just a title field. That's what I'm after for each facet. These could even be defined as snippet, what Wagtail calls snippets. But I believe, I'm going to want an index page with these. Wagtail 2.5 is what we're running. 2.5.1. And with snippets, I don't think it's conventional to have like an index page of snippets. Whereas with these facets, they can be used in the library index itself. Let's hop over here real quick. I'm not running it. We'll have like a faceted searching interface, actually. I can show you. Here. We have the library items basically that display here. There's some filtering and faceting. Let's see, so you can see these. And I guess just clicking on one dynamically refreshes the page, retrieves the data. So that's what we're after here in the Wagtail. However, these facets could turn into links where we display all of the items that have been listed with that facet. I don't know, it would be a little bit redundant considering that you can just do that here. So I don't know, we'll figure it out. If it's just a snippet, we wouldn't have that index page as an option. But then we wouldn't have this whole draft flow. Let me think, this might be actually the good case for snippets. Snippets allow you to create elements on a website once and reuse them in multiple places. Then if you want to change something on the snippet, you just change it once. It'll change across all the occurrences. Yeah, and this is what we're after. But they're not really on this level. These are like contact details, adverse calls to action. And you have like this snippet chooser that will render that snippet in the page, whereas this is going to be like a categorization. Like, I'll go with the page model. And what that means is it'll have a root, it'll have a parent page type, so at the very least you need to define that. So that would be, we don't want them to be just created anywhere. We will probably have them under a facets index page or library index page is actually, I'll probably create a facets index page. With the subpage type facets, more or less we're using these now to organize the content. Basically, Wagtail gives you this hierarchical content model. It's like folders within folders. So in our side of our community, we have different types of community entities or community resources. Likewise, okay, see. Inside of our library, we could have facets here, library facets, or at the top level, I could have a facets menu. Probably wouldn't do that. Or a settings menu. Yeah, I might do that actually. In each of the facet types here, or settings facets. I don't know if this will fly out one more level. That'd be pretty cool. Alternatively, the facets could be hierarchical, which the page model is hierarchical. So, I just gotta decide how to get this out of the hard-coded. That's another reason why I just hard-coded it, because it's just a simpler, more straightforward approach. But for this, I'll have to have potentially orderable fields for the facets that can be used, have multiple values, like the topics. Well, let's just trudge forward. So basically, I copied this, but let me double check. Grab them both while I'm here. And I'm going to create a facet index page, because I'm pretty sure that's going to be a good way to do it. Facet index page. And facets are not hierarchical. I will add an intro if and when we need it. At this point, I'm not even sure that this field will be navigable. Oh man, I just realized that this might mean I don't need a facet index page, I need audience index page. I'm just trying to use these essentially pages as folders to contain the items, and for each of those, in order to have sort of a top level folder, you have to have an entity, like just a page entity, where I've been using these index page entity with a max count of 1 and kind of enforcing a hierarchy that way. All right. It's kind of a redundancy, but keeps things organized. I'll have to figure out what would be the parent. I guess I might need a facets index page too. Facets here, community library facets. Okay, let's see there. Interesting. Yeah, so here we go. I'll just do this all in one commit. Here we go. All right, I'll just rinse and repeat that. Next one will be genre. Next one will be medium. Next one will be time period. Next one will be topic. Alright, yeah, we'll do all these in one commit. Briefly, the facet index page should be under the home page, yes. Right here. Essentially the welcome page. That's our home page. If I look in the website. And the hierarchy of content will actually use the parent, except in the case of the home page, as the slug. Since the home page is just kind of like slash, basically. Then when I added a child page to library, so I'll just show you real quick here. So underneath welcome, we have a community and library pages. Community page, library pages is slash library, community pages slash community. Anything underneath these starts to, as you develop your hierarchy of content, they use the parent pages slug to build the paths. So it's actually a really clean way of organizing stuff. So if I drill in the community, meetings, Pacific Yearly Meeting, you can see all the way down. If I go to a child of Pacific Yearly Meeting College Park, it starts to get pretty long, but there it is. I can probably override that if you need that. Oh, jeez. Well, okay, I guess it's the way it is when I've gone this path. Interesting. Alternatively, I would be defining Django view to say, you know, any meeting, regardless of type, will just be meetings slash the meeting name, and use this template to render it. But following the Wagtail conventions just means I've not had to wire up any of the views or URLs. So trade-offs. When your content's not too deeply nested, that's not a big deal. Okay, let's run these migrations. Yes, need to add the facets app. Settings, base settings, apps. Let's try that again. Make migrations. So there we go. Now we've got audience index, facet index, genre, medium, time period, and topic. Cool. So So migration singular. Essentially what we now can do, run the site. View the welcome page in the admin, Wagtail admin, and add a child page. There's several child page types that have been constrained. And you'll notice that the facets is not showing up here, as I just did. The reason for that is because the content hierarchy is strict. We've told the facets model for the index page, facet index page, that it can be a child of the home page. But we haven't told the home page that the facets index page can be child. That gives you the ability to control it from both angles. I don't know if it's absolutely necessary. I'm trying to think that one through, why I've defined it in both directions. But I think it's, let's see, so a facet could be a child of the home page. If I didn't have the subpage types defined, any children that have listed the home page could be defined under. I think it's just without the subpage types defined, anything could be defined underneath it that doesn't have an explicit definition. Maybe I'll rethink how I'm applying these. What if it's just if I can do one direction? Publish. Okay, so now we go to facets. We can add a child page. Okay. So here's another example. Now I need to take each of these index pages and specify it here. Or if I comment this out, here could be a quick experiment. I say the child chooses the parents. See, that's where it gets kind of sloppy, because then I can define other things that don't have an explicit definition, magazine tags. I think that's just why I've done it both ways, so I don't encounter surprises. But it might be that I can just like events. If I look at the events model real quick. Event. I've defined a parent page type as events index page, right? Oh yeah, so of course. Events index page just doesn't have a parent page type. So yeah, maybe if I just define everything having a parent page type, I would be good. That would be sufficient. But instead of using sometimes sub page types, sometimes parent page types, I'll stay with it both ways for now. For some reason. Okay, since all these have a max count of 1, except all these index pages have a max count of 1, then I can only do 1 at a time, 1 for each of them, right? So that's a cool feature. That was actually added, it was a feature request that I made. I believe that I made that one, and they responded. and somebody just they responded and said, well, maybe we would do it this way and have a max count attribute or something like that. So it just worked really nice. All right. Yes, time period. Topic. Yeah, so this is a little bit ridiculous. I'll admit, you have to define an index page for all of your model submodels, and an index page for each submodel. But what that leads to, and the reason I do all that, is now we have these folders so we can cleanly organize things. Let's go ahead and add a few audiences. High school and older. Intergenerational. Grades K through 5. Grades 6 through 10. So that's how it works. Now if I publish, now again we look at pages, facets, audience. We have all our audiences there. And I'll probably add a facets over here like we've done with contacts. If we can have this second order menu, that would be really cool. Or just each facet, because then what you do is you have a table of facets, and you can add or remove them that way. Alright, so we've got those. Let's delete. I gotta think for just a moment if I'm gonna delete all these. Well, I'm gonna clean them out of the code in any case, but it might be good to start thinking about, good grief, just where to go for these fixtures. I forget how to use the fixtures. Dump data. Load data. I think the fixtures don't include like media. But it's pretty straightforward. So maybe as part of this session, I will just redo these fixtures. So in that case, might be good to add all of these. Let me think. My priority is here to get the code working, so I would just need a couple choices in each. I'll clean up the code, and off stream I'll go ahead and work probably with these fixtures. It doesn't matter if it's on or off stream. It's part of the game. Stuff that you got to do. Alright, so now we are in genre. I just need a couple of each of these to continue the main code part. And our canonical list of these is on the Drupal, the Drupal side. So we had medium. Huh. I guess this is the order they were added or updated. Another thing that viewing these live, it's going to break because I don't have templates set up for the index pages or the facets page, and I don't believe that that's necessary. I'll probably have to do it eventually though, so that the editor doesn't get confused by that button, or figure out if there's a possibility to disable that button in some instances. I think I'm slightly breaking Wagtail convention here by having these pages that are essentially not for front facing use, that are more for organizing the content. So we're at topic, publish. All right, cleans up the code just slightly. This is just ridiculous. That facet next. Specify subpages. There we go. Good. What did we do here? And clean up facet choices. Looking good. Now comes a little bit of a tricky part, but I think it's going to be largely copy and paste. I'll need to link these facets to the library item. I think the majority of them are foreign key relationships, except topic, which is many to many. So for that, I'll have to use like an orderable, and I believe I have an instance of that here. I'll double check the Drupal site. So if I look at the page content types for, we call it media, and manage the fields. Select list. This was a little bit confusing. They're all just select lists. Did I miss something? Medium. Let me look at that one more time actually. So keywords is an autocomplete term widget. Topic is term reference, but with a select list. Meaning you can always select one topic. Keywords is probably what I'm getting confused with. So if I go to the, let me go to the library and view something. Oh, I don't know, something topic, community. Ooh. Oh yeah. It's got multiple topics. And if I edit it, this is the editor experience. What did we do? How did we implement this? Somehow I've got a select list where it's a multi-select. You hold down Control. So anyway, medium single, time period single, genre single, audience single, topic multi. Okay, so for all those singles, those are just ForeignKey. And let me just try one ForeignKey. I have to migrate it. I'll get a quick example. To not cascade, but probably set null. But null has to be a true. That might be the best if I just protect it. For the time being, I don't want a cascading delete because now it would delete media items if the topic is deleted. Alright, so just ForeignKey. Model name, protect. Yes, oh, this is a tricky one I keep bumping up against, but since everything in my project is inheriting from this page, generically these sort of reverse relationships that are automatically created, it's using the same field basically. Same reverse name. So how do we set the reverse name? Oh, this is cool. I'll have to come back to that. limit choices too. I think I can use that. I don't remember off the top of my head what I was trying to do that with, but anyway. All right, related name. Here we are. Related name. All right, so we just do. I think I literally said related name, but equals. So let's see. We need something unique. Library item audience. Is that? I don't understand though. This is saying the field clashes. The only reason I can think of for that is I haven't used audience anywhere else though. What the heck? Let me just check that. Actually, I can check it here. Yep, 12. I don't see that audience field. I think there's something wrong with my migration, or maybe that I haven't run the migration. Let me see if that's. Now it's going to throw the same error, but I will try it anyway. Yeah. This is a confusing one. Damn it. I think the problem is I have data in the database that hasn't been cleared out. Those migrations should have done that. Tell you what. But it's in a Wagtail page. I don't see audience anywhere there. Okay. Actually, just let me see if this will work now. No. It's like nowhere in the damn repository. There's got to be something in my project. Oh, yeah. Hmm. So what's that coming from? Then it says the Wagtail core page model. But that's not the same. This is really confusing one. I don't see it defined anywhere in Wagtail core page. This is a test app anyway. The only thing I can think is that maybe Migration 4 having added the audience somehow. But it's still a library item, it's not the page, but since library item inherits from page, maybe somehow this got mixed in there. But this is supposed to have removed it here. Maybe it didn't get removed from page. I don't see this as part of the Wagtail core model. This is what's confusing me. So one quick way to verify my suspicion here is to add a different one of these facets. Genre. And if this clashes, or even time period. I think I use time period. This clashes, then I know a little bit more accurately what's going on. Okay, so that's not clashing. Alright. That's good. So that's probably not the case. I believe that somehow audience is defined in Wagtail model. It's just, I don't understand where it would be. It's not in the source code. What is going on? Portable pages, fields, test specific app, Wagtail core page, fields. That events page model has defined an audience, but I'm getting confused by that. I don't know if this is worth opening a bug report. For some reason I'm not in the master, so let's try that first. Event page. That's that test page chooser. Demo side fixtures. That's the test app. None of these are from Wagtail core. Okay, well I just have to flow around this. Essentially, and what do you do for a default value? Of a foreign key field. What the hell? If you don't know what's going to be in the database. Alright. So let's add them all. This is going to break. So I'll have to just think about that for a second. Should be 4 of these, because one of them is going to be an orderable. So what do we got? I want to do these alphabetically. Genre. Medium. Time period and topic. Oops. There we go. So now we're getting it again. And the only place I've used these is in this app. So I think what I've got to do is just squash all these migrations manually. This is, I don't know, another way of getting around this. Need a little bit of tea. But at least that way I won't have to prefix this with item audience. But the problem comes when, if these get associated with the Wagtail core page by inheritance, which is kind of ridiculous. If I apply these to any other model, then I'm going to have this clash again, this collision again. This is not very ideal. Maybe that's why somebody was saying, well, I don't remember exactly, but I just don't understand why these child properties would get added to the parent. That's just confusing. It's actually leading to some hassle. Man. I just removed them all. Oh, I think I know what I gotta do. Comment these out. Run the migrations so they don't exist in the database. Uncomment them. make the migrations. No. It's like they were added and removed in earlier migrations, and now they can't be reused because they were somehow added to the page model. This is freaking weird. So here's the not happy way of doing this stuff. I don't know another way right now. Community migrations done. Contact migrations. Done. Events. Migrations. When I get more clarity on this issue, if I bump up against it again, I will open a bug report. I think this is something. Maybe it's just a trade-off in the design of the hierarchical page model that just can't be avoided. But it's just just a hassle. I've hit it before, I think, and didn't realize it. It's just kind of kludgy. I don't like having to do that. Let's see if this works. Should actually try that. The only place I use this genre is here in the library. Unless these errors could be coming out of the fact that I had data there. Just need to, jeez. This is not, okay, this is one of the not fun times I've had with Wagtail. Hmm. Alright, is a foreign key not the right relationship? I don't know what else I would use here. I mean, if I look at the recipe for Wagtail page chooser widget, panel type, the latest documentation. I mean, we're just using foreign keys. Let's see. I don't know if I can really provide steps to reproduce. Audience, genre, and medium. For some reason, it's not clashing on all of them. I think this has got to be user error. It's got to be something I'm doing wrong, but, jeez. I don't know what it is. I reset all the migrations. I cleared all the data. I didn't see these in the Wagtail source. This is really baffling. It's got to be something I'm doing wrong. It's only thrown on 3 out of 4. Audience, genre, medium. Audience, genre, medium. Why isn't the time period doing? What if I just run that migration? Save and make that migration. That wouldn't let me do it. Damn it. I really don't like being stifled by stuff like this. This is ridiculous. I don't have steps to reproduce on this. It's not so much a bug, I think, as a support request, but it could be a bug. No, I can't confirm it. It's not relevant. All right, let me just double check. Audience, genre, medium. I'll submit the issue. It's not quite a bug report. It certainly is a bit crazy making. If I can't get past this, there's nothing more I can do today, and this has already been an hour and a half session. This is just, I don't know, disappointing, I guess, something. Alright, I'm going to delete the database. It wasn't in any of the fields. Content panels. This is totally different stuff. Alright, let's try this one more time. Community migrations. Yeah, it could be that these were cached also. Migrations. Events, migrations. Yeah, because all those migrations were in there. Ah, there should have been a migration for this event, right? So there's a model. Alright. So something went wrong there. There it is. Alright, just gonna blast out these migrations one more time. Including the cached versions. Home migrations PyCache. Library migrations PyCache. It is a static folder. Search doesn't have any collections. Static files. Streams doesn't have any collections. Website doesn't have any collections. Remove the migrations. Let's make them again. And this is just going to use right now the currently working model. I will add the new fields again as a second migration. But everything else has been tested. This has been working. So basically back to, not to zero, but where we were a moment ago. Okay, that's fast. So yeah, these are all our custom apps. We'll go ahead and migrate everything, including since I've destroyed the database. Wait, why is it there? That shouldn't be there. When you make migrations, why it shouldn't create a database, right? Let me double check that. No, it does, I guess. So that could be part of the problem. I don't know. Let's go and delete that and let's go ahead and migrate. That creates database, etc. Which, I mean, this is one of the really powerful features of Django development framework, is having these migrations. I'm just having a strange issue. Something that I'm doing wrong, most likely. Cool. Now, back in business. What we'll do is just add one field, the author field. Or what do we have? Ooh, that's not it. That was something different. Not author, but audience. So I need that ForeignKey back, and the relationship goes over to facets, audience. Here's nullable. I think that's all I needed to specify. The reverse relationship is fine. So let's see what happens here. Okay, one position. Oh yes, on delete protect. That's right. Basically, Django needs to know what to do when in this case, if the audience related to this library item were deleted, should it delete this library item? Should it not let the audience be deleted? Saying there are related items, should it set it null, set it default? It's nullable, so I could set null. I think the protect is the way to go. Let me just see if this works. Make migrations, please work. Yes, this is models, protect. There we go, trailing comma. I don't know if that's necessary, but in any case. Clashes with the field audience from the model Wagtail chord page. Yep, this is just baffling. Baffling. Jeez. It's like almost like this kind of example app is colliding with it, but I don't see any. I mean, at least the audience is just. I don't understand this. Is there something I'm defining this wrong? What if I do it like this? But I don't see why this would be selectively failing. No. It's literally just the field name that's... I can call it item audience. It's not desirable. I mean, this is the most frustrated I've been with working with Wagtail. I don't understand how. is not a field there. Destroyed all that content for nothing. The only place in my project audience is defined is right here. Aside from the fact that we're using it in the template because of a previous migration, but I've squashed those migrations. Is there some other place Wagtail would be caching these? One thing I could do is just what do we got here? Push the branch. I'm working in the branch this whole time, so I can always cherry pick these. If this branch is just totally messed up, what I'll do is I'll delete this repo locally, clone it again, run migrations. Library has no items. Oh, yeah. Let me just think for 1 second if I'm deleting anything. Why did manage pi get changed? That's strange. I think everything else is good to go. Okay. No cache, nothing going on, just fresh. So yeah, I can pretty much cherry pick these. Then when I started getting caught up with these migrations, I'll have to just, well, I mean, it's not too bad to have those, such few migrations. I'll stop by. All right, I can clean that lint. Right then, let's do this. I'm gonna tell it I'm running Python right now. It didn't automatically detect that because there's not a lot of Python change to my branch. Library category. Create an environment. Activate, clear. All right, here we go, back up and running. Run those initial migrations for the whole project, Wagtail, then my singular project migrations, which have been flattened now. Alright. Now we're going to run over here to the library, grab models, and I'm going to add one field. Audience, the one I've been beating my head against. ForeignKey 2. Facets. Audience. Maybe it says protect. I don't want to change too many things at once. That, you know, this is models. Set null. All right, just one field. This one. Nope. Nope. I don't even know how that Wagtail core page is getting that field audience. I'm fighting this head on though. That's not a good philosophy. It's not a good approach. It should just be a little bit softer. I need to yield. Forget about it. Let's do this. Alright. Okay. Where are the other ones now? Floundering just a bit here. Facets. Alright then. We've got audience, genre. Do them alphabetically. Medium. And time period. I'll come back for topic. Save. All right. Done. Let's get that orderable in there. Check it out in the UI. tweak the templates a little bit. I think since these are foreign keys, we might need to look at the template, particularly for the orderable field, which is this topic. So let me get an example of something that has an orderable. Where have we used orderable? Right here. So essentially, when you have a many-to-many relationship and you're using page models, you don't use regular Django, model many-to-many. You use this orderable field and orderable collection in between them. Don't need so many spaces there. Library item author, library item topic. This is going to collide. On delete cascades. That's okay. I believe that would just delete this intermediary document. Oh, come on. I think black did that. So. No, didn't want to. Must hit a keyboard shortcut. That's kind of cool though. I'd like to know what keyboard shortcut I hit. I could run code interactively. So, gotta think a little bit in terms of relationships and the way to describe them. So, given a topic, we grab related library items, which more or less they'll return a list of these. So it's gonna be a little bit of redundancy because then you gotta go to the. I don't know how that'll work. Plural. Would it give me a list of all these? Probably. For topic and topics. It's interesting. Alright, so what we need here is just and since this is a page, I don't have to necessarily specify those other ones. I think this should work now. Alright, cool. Let's run in. It's fine. With a common password, it's just my development password. Alright, so we're going to have a server with no content again. Dang it. Empty. Pages, I'll delete the default page because it's just. And we'll have to create a little bit of a content hierarchy to get down to the facets and library items. So just going to put in our boilerplate content, and I will, in a subsequent either live stream or just off stream, I will create a fixture for this start getting fresh content in there. So yeah, apologies for this part. Alright, cool. Now we're there. I need one from each of them. Library. Actually, this one is structured taxonomy. Simplicity. And I'll add 2 topics because it's a many-to-many. Go back to the facets. We'll look at time period. I think there's just put timeless in there. We'll now look at medium. Well, let's just say audio or audio production. We'll look at genre. I can't remember what the genre terms were. Keynote talk, that's cool. Publish. And then audience, and this one was like intergenerational was one of them. All ages. Cool. So we got a few our facets back in place, genre, etc. So those all have at least one item. Now let's go ahead and go to the library, add a child page, test item. This is a required field. You need to add a contact and a person index page. So if I go here and edit, so this is community. Child page, people, child page, there's me. Okay, then now we have an author. So if I go back to pages, facet, so no, what am I trying to do? Library, add a library item, test. I believe authors is a required field, so we'll add that, me. Publication date, we'll just set it for a little while ago. It needs to have some sort of body text. Publish that. Oh yeah. And then I didn't add the field widgets, so that's an important thing to note. So they're nullable fields, but they cannot be left blank. So they're required. Good. And then all I need to do is just go here to panels and add them. And the way we did this previously was something I can copy and paste actually. Right here, multi-field panel. So now I go back. Refresh that. Do I have to migrate panels? Where are we at? Library item. Topic. Wrong model. Library item. Huh, I wonder why it's getting all those errors. Is my environment not activated? It's got to be activated because this is running. What the heck? Alright, so we already got a comma there. Oh, I didn't copy the comma. Let's try this now. Yeah, okay, and then you just gotta have all these prefixes. Audience, genre. See, this worked before. This totally worked before. I don't understand it. And actually the topics is a different one. With these exact fields. There we go. Intergenerational, keynote talk, audio, timeless. So the ForeignKey just renders in the correct widget. Now we need one more panel. Let's call it an inline panel for what's the reverse relationship? Topics. Let's see what happens. Reload. Topics. And it doesn't have a label. What? Label equals topics. Is it because I'm displaying a multi-field panel that the label's not appearing? That would be kind of unfortunate. Let's try that. And we might need a heading then. Something. We'll have to take a look. How this works. Add topics. Okay, that's good. So now we've got intergenerational, keynote talk, audio, timeless, and I'll add a topic page, simplicity. Maybe 2 topics. Peace. Publish. Ah, and I didn't have the content proof. I must have refreshed the page, that's right. Okay, those are all there. Oh, goodness. Oh, yeah, of course. Okay. Okay, this is something I just can fix. Wagtail is multi-site by default, so when you set it up, if you don't have a site added, it has one by default, but I deleted the default page, so it deleted the site. There must be a cascading delete. It's default catch-all. Now I will be able to check things out. If I go to the admin, if I go just to the root page, for example, there we are. So I didn't create any magazine content or community content, but we got a library item authored by paragraph text. So yeah, we're actually making some headway. Let's commit these. Had a little bit of a compromise here, prefixing all these with item. Okay, I'm cool with it. Except I wasn't consistent over here. Well, I'm just gonna go ahead and have a little bit of inconsistency, selective inconsistency. Alright, so let's get these back into the template. Facets. So this is actually the library item template. I'll probably need to touch base on the index. Let me double check. Now we're just showing authors there. Okay. Here we go. So we got audience. If page specific audience. This is just item audience. Let's see. This is why I think this has got to be a user error. I had these fields in there before. There we go. And these are all, if I take a look real quick, they're all required fields, so I don't have to do these conditional checks anymore. This one I'll come back to. Yeah, there we go. Okay, looking good. And since they're page, let's see, these are actually page models. It just pulls the title field. Now, we're going to do an iterator, iterate over those topics, topic in page specific. Topics. Let's just see if this works. I think it's this. Oh yeah. Yeah, topic. Deferring related manager object is not editable. Okay, so I just need to look real quick where I've used an orderable field, which I've used it in, you have to say all. Deferring related manager. I think that means it's lazy loading. I don't know. Let's try that. Library item topic 1, topic dot topic. A little bit ridiculous, but it's because it's that intermediary table. Simplicity piece, and we want a comma separated, but I'll show you kind of a trick. We don't want the trailing comma, so we're going to go over to the magazine template. Actually, it might even be up here. Yeah, it's just right up here. We only want the comma when it's not the last item in the list. So if not, for loop last, put the comma there. Alright, we're looking good. And save this, then I can make those links. I don't have the index pages ready. I think I will just, yeah, we're going to want those to be links, I believe. But for the time being, this has been over 2 hours session and relatively stressful one, so I think I'm going to call it a night. I think this is good stopping point. Hey Blue Barn, I'm working with Python Django web framework, and specifically there's a content management system called Wagtail that's built on top of Django. Is that what you mean? What kind of a web app am I working on? Or do you mean the specifics of this Western Friend site, which is essentially as a magazine site, so it has a publication model. We're porting it over from Drupal, and there's a subscription aspect of it where subscribers get the most recent issues. Everything else in the archive going back to 1927 is just public. 1929 it was published as Friends Bulletin, and there's a lot of other aspects. There's a bookstore which we're building out. We'll have to have some e-commerce features. I don't quite know how to do that yet in Django. I got the book Django for Pro Django. Yeah, this book I just bought. It's going to be published at the end of the month. It's got some chapters on building specifically a bookstore, so I think I'll be following that. There's also a couple of video series on YouTube I'll be checking out for this bookstore e-commerce aspect. I want to kind of keep it simple, not reinvent too much, but I think it'll be mainly writing manual models and such like that. Right now we're working in the Multimedia Library. These are just items that are published around in different genres: audio, blog posts, different forms of art and video. We've got a community aspect of the site. I can actually show that. Though I had to reset this local thing, so the magazine and library and everything, I haven't recreated the content, and it won't render. Let me see if this Heroku app wakes up. You can kind of see the community section, and all our media got disconnected when Heroku went to sleep. That's kind of a bummer. Yeah, so basically there's these groups and gatherings, and we want to kind of create a directory of the structure of this large community, like several thousand people in the Western United States mainly. The lives and times of the people who, some of whom have passed, and we want to memorialize them. It's a nonprofit organization website, so we're just basically rewriting the whole thing, porting it from Drupal 7 over to Django. We're like basically considering whether to go to Drupal 8, but realized that at this stage in the website's life cycle, we're getting to the point where we might need to write custom features, and I would rather be writing Python code than PHP. I'm just more familiar with Python. Oh, we'll also need to do subscriptions and donations, which in the books will have payment processing. So I think right now we're looking mainly at PayPal, but maybe we'll do some Stripe. So it's got a lot of aspects. It's a it's an actual website that's basically supporting this nonprofit organization to a certain extent. Western Friend, they're based in California. All right. What's up? Oh, I don't even know how to pronounce your name. Zezeth. Zezeth? How are you doing? So yeah, I recommend William Vincent's books on Django. Also this other book, 2 Scoops of Django. It's a really nice one. I've been learning quite a lot. I think they have 1.11 here, which even though Django 2 is out, Django 2.2 is out even, This is the long-term support version of Django, so it'll be supported for a long time, hence the name. And many of the patterns in this book are still relevant with Django too. And so this is just like best practices, not so much like a noob tutorial series, which I still have to rely on as well. But this is like a high-level book of patterns to follow as a professional Python Django developer. Smiles are too big on the stream, to be honest. The bouncing faces thing. Yeah, I don't have any control over the size of those. I forget the name of the integration that I enabled for that. So cool. Let's see. I guess I can commit these changes. And since we got a few people who are now active in the chat, I'll go ahead and spend a little bit more time making these links. That's something I know how to do. I won't have to fight that like I did those migrations. That was a really big challenge. So now we've displayed them. These are all page models. So Wagtail actually makes this really easy. I gotta just say, I've said this a few times in the stream, Wagtail overall makes things really enjoyable. It's very well designed and consistent, and the development experience is nice, and interacting with the core developers has been really pleasant. I just hit a really big snafu today, something that I was doing wrong. I don't know what it was, but that was not fun. But anyway, so we need an anchor tag. And the href equals, and there's this page tag. Do I have the Wagtail core pages in there? Yes. Yes. Whoops. I need a Wagtail core. I think it's this. I will be able to copy and paste this in just one moment. Page URL. And what that does is just, if you feed this page tag a page object, it'll generate the reverse URL for you. So there you go, you got it. So this item audience is actually a Wagtail page. And then we'll use, and the second thing is if you feed a Wagtail page item just into this Django template interpolation tag, it'll just get the stringified version of that, which is defaults to the title field, which is present in all pages. So let's see, this should work. If intergenerational is now a link. Boom. The reason I was hesitant to do this is because the template's missing. Times 5. All right, well, that's fine. So let me think how to do this. I guess some cleanest way is just delete these all. And whoops, let me close my sidebar so I have just a little bit more room to read the code. So we'll go down those templates. It's not that big of a deal either. I was just kind of being lazy. Trying to cut corners slightly. So that one's working. That's the correct one. This one should be item genre. This one should be medium. This one should be, and this one should be item topic. So if we refresh, oh. Yeah, I see what I did wrong here. This is topic. Because I'm inside of an iterator. I'm iterating over those, that is. So whatever that, how to phrase that, I don't know. All right. Still not happy. Damn. say zet. Let's see, what does that mean? Are you laughing, Blue Barn, at my misery? Which one of these is not working? Let's see, do I have a typo here? So audience worked. Just have to do this process of elimination. Well, audience works, so don't have to eliminate that one. So the genre works. Good, good. I suspect it's inside of this loop. Yeah, that works. So I have to read that a little bit more carefully. Timeless, yeah. All right, so for topic and page specific topics, so page URL, topic. Yeah, interestingly I rarely see the DDDT definition. What is it? Definition. Well, we had definition list, definition term, definition tag in HTML. I guess a bookkeeping site is the perfect place for it. Yeah, I'm not fully. Yeah, thanks Blue Barn for pointing that out. I'm not fully committed to using the DDDT, but yeah, it seemed like a good fit. I was looking. We're using Bootstrap here. Maybe there's a way of displaying these. Do you know if how to display them, maybe inline, or when I looked on the Mozilla Dev docs, actually they. Let's see if I can find it real quick. The formatting is pretty nice. I like this formatting style, but actually I would be happy if they would just display inline instead of block. Do you have any ideas how I could improve this section here? I'm open to suggestions. And what's going on here? So page URL needs a topic. And when does that work? Just display a page URL. I do topic here. That works. But when I feed topic into the page URL, it's saying that this is not a page instance, which is kind of confusing. Okay. Control K, Control C. KU. Yeah, it's having a hard time uncommenting those automatically. Everywhere else that worked. Because if I look, oops, wrong button. Oh, that worked. Must have had a typo in there. Ghost in the machine sort of a thing. All right, let's get these commas in there. Basically. And, oh man, it's a bummer. because that's just the way it's going to be. I'm not going to fight that. So maybe it would just be simpler to have spans. What do you think? Just a couple of spans for the label and values. In case. Oh yeah, of course I gotta. Move that outside of there. Yeah. Move all this outside there. Good grief, you up. It's 1 a.m. here. Nice. I guess it started around 11. Alright, so what do you think, Blue Barn? How's it look? Good enough for now, or should I swap these out for spans or something like that? Some spandex. Alrighty then, I'll wait for your reply. In the meantime, I'm going to start fixing these errors. Alright, LGT Blue Barn. Something like that. So we're just going to create some templates in the library, templates library, new file, audience, HTML. Grab a couple things here. So basically, facets audience. Oh, whoa, whoa. Facets, templates, facets, audience. Come on. Does exist. I just put it there. AUDIENCE. I mean, I copied and pasted it even. Goodness me. This session has been a little bit fraught. TEMPLATES, TEMPLATES. So yeah, you put all your templates into templates. And the subdirectory of templates being the app name. So let's check the spelling here. One thing, sometimes I just gotta kill the server, run it again. Yeah, something. Goodness me. Usually it picks up those changes, I think because I created 2 folders at the same time. Maybe that threw it off. Alright, cool. So basically, this is going to use those reverse links. So the page has a title. Each facet is a page, each one. So let's just show that in a header. There we go. Yeah, woo, nice and big. Cool. This is I like doing HTML. It's really nice. I like having just a templating language. I know this is Django specific templates, but yeah, I like just to be able to write some HTML with a few interpolation, patterns and maybe minimal block sort of logic, but nothing else. Okay, so we've got the thingamabob. Now we're going to iterate over the relationships. So the reverse of the facets, if we go back to the library models, let's start with top. What am I at? Audience. Audience. I didn't define the reverse. So. Okay, I just gotta figure this one out real quick. What's Django's default reverse foreign key? I have to think for a moment. I haven't encountered this. Blue Barn, have you done any work with Django, or what kind of projects are you working on? Do you have any preferences of tools for technologies? Foreign key. What is the default reverse? App label. Foreign key. To nothing. Limit choices to related name. Here we go. What's the default related name? The name used for the relation from the related object back to this one. Here we go. That's the default for related query name. The name to use for the reverse filter name from the target model. Let's take a look at that. Now that you must set this value when defining relations on abstract models. If you prefer Django not to create the backwards relation, that's why I see this plus. They're saying don't do it, Django, don't do it. Alright. Foo set. Blue Barn says, I haven't worked with Django before. I plan to get into it sometime later this year, though. At the moment, I'm still in the process of learning JavaScript. Next, I'm going to work on a few JavaScript frameworks and move towards Python Django. Yeah, that sounds like a noble path, pretty common as well. It's worth mentioning, though, that you can, as you see here, you can build a Django app without JavaScript, without a JavaScript framework. I actually kind of recommend it. And I think this is maybe an emerging conventional wisdom, at least I've seen this through some discussions on Hacker News, that if you can avoid using a JavaScript framework, avoid it. Start without a framework until you need it. yeah, just for what it's worth, food for thought. But yeah, definitely it's good. I mean, there's some interesting stuff you'll learn from those too. JavaScript's it's a very prevalent language, ubiquitous, and it's growing and changing a lot. I think they're doing a lot. The TS39, who are designing the language, I think they're pushing it in new ways, helping it grow. Python's also a growing language. All right. Yeah, I don't have. Yeah, I have to find a source, but basically just conventional wisdom on Hacker News that I've read. I don't know, so I kind of stuck it behind my ear. Let's see though. What's the manager is named foo set, where foo is the source model name, lowercase. Okay. All right. So it looks like I might be able to do this in a template. So the table name uses the source model name. I hope this works. Let's see if this works. This is total more or less guesswork on my part, so I apologize in advance. This should be single though. Alright, let's just see if that worked. We'll just print something first. If it worked, we'll be excited. It did not work. It did not work. It did not work. How do we do it in the template Django docs? I could define the related name. Oh, I see what I'm doing wrong. I'm thinking about it wrong. I'm coming from the audience to the library item. So this would be something like I don't know if this specific thing is part of Wagtail because we're inheriting from the page model, and it's the inherited class has some specific fields, or the specific inherited class has some fields. Then we can get to the field, and this is guesswork. So saved and reloading. Didn't work. It worked. Alright, so no spaces, all lowercase. And then get the query set. Okay, let's see here. Then I will need just to put the audience there. Oh yeah. This is one of the nice things about having a mature and consistent, well-documented framework, which I sort of find, on the scale at least of Django and Ruby on Rails, sort of find a lot lacking in JavaScript. Granted, Ruby on Rails is mainly for server-oriented stuff, but I think it does template rendering and whatnot, if I'm not mistaken. It has its own templating syntax. Django, it's a full stack thing. You're mainly writing a server-side app. You can design APIs with it, but you can do the front end parts with minimal JavaScript and a little bit of guesswork. But it's very well batteries included and documented, whereas these JavaScript front end frameworks, they're limited, to the front end. So you're just sort of getting into the territory of server-side rendering and things like that, which has basically gone full circle, where you might as well just be using a more mature framework like Django. But yeah, just having things work with a little bit of fidgeting and a little bit of guessing is, it's just really rewarding. So let's get the reverse link back to this then. Essentially, so we are in an audience. We are listing library items. We're running this code at 1:30 a.m. here, Eastern European time, so my batteries are depleted, I'll say that. But this is just that anchor tag again. I want to have a good stopping point tonight though. And this is that Wagtail. Where did I'm using a Nordic keyboard as well. So I get a finger tied. Get tripped up on some of the special characters that you need. Did that work? Library items, test item, boom. Okay. Now for this I will just copy and paste a few times. Blue Barn, have you thought about any JavaScript frameworks you're going to start learning first, or any sort of development approaches? Have you done much JavaScript in the past or web development in the past? Okay, so we're going to repeat this for the genre, medium time period, and topic. And they're really just going to be the same code, so I'll leave this open. Close the models out now. And just let me get the copy and pasty to make sure I don't make typos at this time of night. It's pretty straightforward. Django has conventional ways of doing things. Where it looks for the templates and what the names are pretty much flow straight from the field or model. The model in this case. Cool. Alright, we got those. Let's grab this. I just realized this. Whoops, I went to Control D to do the multi-cursor, Control, paste, it's pretty obvious. Control V, or Command. So Command D, multi-cursor in Visual Studio Code. Blue Barn has been thinking of doing a React first, then Angular. Haven't done much web development in the past outside of HTML and CSS, so it's going to be totally new to me. Yeah, that makes sense. And I'd also mention that if you're, like many developers, having a background in HTML, CSS, you might take a look at these front-end frameworks, how they handle templating, and if they're inventing their own sort of templating DSL, or if they have, in which case they pretty much all do, but to what extent they conform to HTML and CSS and keep those as separate concerns. I don't want to name names, but essentially it's not always the case that those are separated out, and the frameworks by definition have to deviate from HTML in certain extents, to certain extents, for like example the interpolation, but some of them actually use valid HTML. Like this, I believe, is valid HTML, and having custom attributes on HTML is valid too. So yeah, keep that in mind, whether or not this framework or that framework is sort of web standards aligned or web standards divergent, because I believe that's going to play out over the next 5 or 10 years. And my money is on the web standards aligned frameworks that more or less embrace and extend these web standards, because the web standards are designed for longevity, and there are shortcomings that these frameworks are addressing in terms of how we manipulate the document object model, how we change the way the page looks in sort of response to changes in the application state. Do we have to kind of act like a sort of page babysitter and explicitly tell it imperatively to change this now and listen for this and that, or is there a more declarative approach, which I believe is the way the modern frameworks are going? They're saying you kind of declare the layout, you declare your layout of your page, and you bind it to a model, and when the model changes, the page will re-render the components that should be changed, not the entire page. So yeah, I just think web standards for the win. Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you've done some HTML, that is a templating language, more or less. And these, templates, pretty much by definition, are kind of a declarative structure. You say how the page should be, structured, how it should be organized, semantically and structurally. Again, sorry to be redundant there. So yeah, you're already using a template language, HTML. We're just now needing to feed data into those HTML templates. Well, I mean, not just now, but the way we're feeding data in is changing. With Django, it's going to feed these in. On the server side, it pre-processes these and interpolates the values into the template, and then renders this little chunk inside of the base HTML chunk, all on the server on request. And the modern single page app paradigm is saying that, well, let's render a base template in the client and load an application to client, and that application will pull data from the server and do the rendering on the client side. And then the single page app paradigm also has gone full swing and said, well, let's do some of this rendering back on the server for various reasons like search engine optimization. So those are all kind of dynamics that you'll be encountering as you go forward with your career. F5, is this broken now? Okay, so those aren't working. We'll come back to this, figure out why. Maybe I'm not thinking this through, but I just want to make sure that these templates are all... So this one works, this one works, this one works, this one works, this one works. All right, so where are we coming up short? On this iteration list. Okay. Right. So in this case, the topic, the context is a little bit different. What this returns is not the actual library item, but it's a library item topic. So if I look at this model, the library, library item topic model. We're going to go in here and get the library item out of there. That's what I'm missing. A little bit of mind bending, having to think from different perspectives. Let me see what I'm doing wrong still. No. Alright, so page specific library item set. And that's what I've got is the wrong model. So library item topic is the model name. Am I editing the right template? No. So there we go. I have to undo that, close these things out. This is the result of being tired. Oh, okay, that's not working, damn it. Yeah, and I mean, and it's not just about templates. I think one of the things is trying to think about, it's hard to prepare for the future, but one thing you can do is align yourself and your work and invest time in projects and communities that have a sort of an ethic or an ethos of stewardship, I guess is what I'm driving at. What I find lacking, sometimes we throw things away really quickly and reinvent things in the name of progress or some sort of optimization, or sometimes just even bike shedding, or just to say, hey, I'm a big fish in a small pond, or I'm a new guy, I don't quite understand why things are the way they are, but here's how I think they should be. You know, those types of things, I think all of us are susceptible to that way of thinking. But there are some really robust and remarkable technologies that you can start using, like Django, like web standards, that are under continuing evolution, that are very relevant today, and that are designed and have a track record of being around and being designed for like the long term. So when you're learning these technologies, you're actually learning lessons that will stay with you for many years to come, and you won't have to kind of reinvent or learn a new approach. Granted, we're always learning every day, so I don't know, it's just a mixed bag. That's about all I can say about it without seeming too ranty. Library item topic set, that seems to be correct, but it's something I've been reflecting on quite a lot. I'm feeling a little bit of frustration about. Okay, so this is the wrong place. Models. So we're not in the facets. Let's go back to the library models. And let me just, library item topic is an orderable. So first thing to do is just test if we're able to get something in here. So just delete that. And likely I have a typo in here. Library item topic. Oh yeah, and that's the problem. I just found it. Nope. I didn't just find it. This code is lit. Okay, then just put something in there. Right, so if we do have some item in there, we will see a test. Okay, did not work. Blue Barn says, by the way, do you use any other resources for the more detailed information about the domain-specific language templating, like any podcasts you frequent? So in this case, the templating DSL is Django specific. Like I'll say it again though, this is HTML, because it bears mentioning Django templating language uses HTML. It didn't try to reinvent that completely. It just has a couple of helper. This is valid HTML, I believe. These are HTML comments. String interpolation. I can't remember the name of this syntax, but to the second part of your your question, and the topic that was on the screen though, simple is better than complex. I'll post this link in the chat. Check it out if you're interested in Django. This guy does really great work. He's based in Helsinki right now. Vitor Freitas. I'm not sure if I'm probably not pronouncing his name anywhere near correct, but I like his philosophy and the way he teaches. It's really good. He's going to teach you much more than just a DSL. He's going to teach you all sorts of stuff about Django, and even just general Python stuff. So yeah, this really great resource. One of the good things about using a mature framework like Django, there are other mature frameworks out there. I'm not trying to say Django is the only one, clearly, but I am saying Django is sort of a pinnacle. It's a very good example of one that has just got the boxes checked for being well documented, stable, consistent, mostly backwards compatible, great security policy, great community. So the docs, the Django documentation, has some great tutorials to get you started. Again, you don't have to have a JavaScript framework to get started here. You can build some really powerful apps with very little JavaScript needed, and you can even just sprinkle in JavaScript on the parts that you want to be more dynamic. Like if you want to make AJAX calls, you can find just an AJAX framework like Axios or something maybe, or jQuery. Those are still, jQuery is still relevant. And just sprinkle in a little bit of JavaScript. It's just conventional web development stuff where your HTML and JavaScript, they reside together in the same file, but not necessarily together in the same block of code. They're a little bit segregated because they're different modes of thinking. JavaScript is an imperative mode of thought where you're saying this, then this, then this, or if this, then that. HTML is a declarative structural mode of thinking. So you're saying the page should be structured like this. And there's a little bit of gray area where you will want some conditionals, but this is not a full-blown imperative programming language. And by design, it's not supposed to be, to keep you and developers from writing really a lot of imperative code amongst your declarative template syntax. So let me see if I can find the docs here for the template, the basics. Yeah, more or less, it's right here. It's not a blog, but it's the docs. Django is just so well documented. So good stuff. And also another box that Django has checked is that it's driven by a community organization, Django Software Foundation. So it's a nonprofit organization, kind of a neutral body. That means it's going to stay around for a while. Oh, and actually this is probably very succinctly what I was trying to hint at. If you have a background in programming or you're used to languages which mix programming code directly into HTML, you want to bear in mind that the Django templating system is not simply Python embedded into HTML. This is by design. The template system is meant to express presentation, not program logic. This is crucial, and when you head down that JavaScript path of learning these front-end frameworks, you're going to be faced with choices of frameworks that disregard this sort of convention. I believe it's conventional wisdom. After many years of development, like the web development community coming out of languages like Cold Fusion and PHP, have just learned that you separate presentation from logic. And you have minimal logic. Very minimal, but it's, yeah, so this is another reason why I like Django. The way it's designed is pretty well thought out and explains its philosophy very plainly. And there are JavaScript front-end frameworks that have a similar approach. Angular, Vue, Aurelia among them. What's the now? Another one, Svelte. Several of them. There, I will name names. Okay, cool. Why is this one not working? This is the last holdout. This is the last one. It's not working. Page-specific library item topic. Okay, so let me just think about this from two directions. This page is a topic. Simplicity. There have been some library items that have been tagged with simplicity and peace. So same thing, right? Library items that have been tagged with that. So when I view this topic, simplicity, I'm seeing the title, a header, and now from the topic I have some specific library item topic. What am I doing wrong here? Something to do with it being an orderable, which by the way inherits from the page model. If I look at the orderable, F12, go to definition. Oh, it's right there. For some reason my IDE is not picking up the environment. By the way, Blue Barn, what type of editor or IDE are you using? See all these imports, so can't really traverse that. Why? Little things like this. Oh, now I saved it, now it works. If I don't know how to do a poll, I could put a straw poll out there to see. But now I hit F12, boom, no definition found. It didn't work again. It's like when the server's running, it can't traverse that. No. Let's see, everything was saved. Let me just jiggle the handle a little bit. Okay, there we go. Now our environment is activated. Maybe now the IDE will be able to see the environment, which is right there, and we've got it. Yeah, VS Code. Okay, cool. Have you tried any other editors or IDEs? How did you arrive at VS Code? Library models. Now come on, just let me look at this. 12. There we go. Oh, Orderable. It's not a page. It doesn't need to be a page, but I do need to get a dang list of these. Sublime. So Blue Barn started with Sublime and then felt that was fast and easy to use, but got into VS Code because they like how easy it is to add plugins, change the theme, etc. Yeah, pretty much the same here. I didn't start with Sublime though, but I do find those qualities about VS Code really nice. I'm using this Cobalt theme, which is pretty readable. I hope it's pretty readable on this stream. And I've got several plugins going on here. Extensions, preferences, extensions. How do you show the ones enabled? You know, some stuff that I would like being to work in Django templates. For some reason, Django templates aren't exactly HTML. When I open one up, I'll show what I mean. Facets, templates. Because it does have some specific Django-specific syntax, VS Code is handling it through a custom parser. That's going to be the case if you use like Vue or Angular, perhaps even but they are aligned, or JSX and things like that. They are aligned generally. The former are aligned with HTML. So, but in any case, these extensions, like auto close tag, will only work if it's detected as regular HTML. Oh, where'd it go? For some reason. What else we got? You know, some renaming, pairing, Cobalt theme, code metrics. This one's a cool one. I don't know if we can see it active here. If I open a JavaScript project, though, you'll see this all over the place. I actually recommend this. Keep an eye on the complexity of your code. This is mainly oriented towards JavaScript, it looks like. You don't have to do anything about it, but be aware of it. Don't ignore it. I had this discussion in another open source project where they had enabled this code climate quality metrics and then configured it to basically ignore all the metrics. So it's like not doing anything with the knowledge. Code complexity is an important thing, particularly when you're editing the same file a lot or multiple people are editing it. It adds up. It's like drag. It slows you down. And if you think about development, you know, you want to be able to do things agile and quick. And if you look at cars, and particularly race cars and sports cars, they're streamlined. They remove as much drag as possible. So having simple, clear, well-organized code is going to streamline your development and make it easy on your brain and things like that, so you don't burn 1,000 calories just reading one 200-line function. Although that might be good, because then we would need to worry about our sedentary lifestyles, sit in front of the keyboard. But anyway, I digress. Got some Django specific stuff, Docker specific stuff, etc. By the way, what is lint supposed to mean in programming? Like, example, ESLint. Lint is basically sort of what I was talking about, stuff that makes code unclean, so to speak. It's little small things. The analogy is like if you have a black shirt and you have been petting a cat, right? You'll see cat fur and stuff on your black shirt. So it's like little annoyances that are unclean, but don't necessarily translate into bugs. Some of the things that linters will catch in your code can be problematic. Like indentation and things where in Python it matters. So essentially, lint is primarily focused around style, like code style and consistency. So ESLint is for ECMAScript or JavaScript. TSLint is for TypeScript. Python has, where's the list there? There's a couple of linters. AutoPep8 listed here, and then this black. I don't know if the name is sort of related to the analogy I was giving earlier about like the black shirt having clean, just lint-free dark clothes, or I don't know how it got the name. But essentially, this is about style and how you should write code. One example of lint that I can make here, if I do something like this. It's going to be a little bit, slow, but I'm giving an example. Line length is what I'm getting at. Really long lines are difficult to read because you have to scan horizontally and even scroll your page, right? So this is something that developers will scoff at a little bit. And then one more line. So yeah, this line is now where is it? 184 columns wide, and I have to scroll horizontally to read it. And then not only that, scrolling horizontally, but I have to be careful looking at, are my parentheses balanced, things like that. It makes it difficult. Watch what happens when I hit Control S, save. Nothing happened. Why did nothing happen there? Well, watch what happens if I hit Control Shift F. No. Crap. Control Shift P, format, document. There we go. Well, it's not the best. But essentially what happened here is black automatically formatted it in a semi-optimal manner. So that was a long way of saying that lint is just minor annoyances in code that could indicate bigger problems, and that add up basically to slowing you down in your development process. This is much more readable, right? I can just scan vertically to see that our braces, our parentheses are balanced, commas are there. I can see that we're in a stream field, we got these child objects. I can read these vertically. So, yeah. Code lint. And so in Python land, there's this black. In JavaScript, there is, what's it called? Prettier. What has happened is people have gone back and forth about their code style and linting, and each project has its own conventions. And anytime you look at a new project, you have to start to learn their conventions. And in the last year, maybe 2 years, I think basically in the last year, these opinionated code formatters have emerged that just use, if you're in JavaScript, just use prettier and follow its opinions. If you're in Python, just use black and follow its opinions. Learn those. And even if you don't learn them and don't follow them, your IDE VS Code can actually just fix it for you, like it tried to do here. And more or less, like things like singular double quotes. Should I use singular double quotes? The linter will do that for you nowadays. So even if you define your own style. So I think that's really nice, because that way we don't have to think about the minutia. We can focus on building our app, doing the cool things we want to do. All right, simplicity. Cool. Why is my thingamabob not working? All right then, man. We got enough. Now I might have done the wrong dang tag. Topic. I believe that's the problem the whole time, isn't it? Let's find out. Test item, audience intergenerational. That is working. I'm going to close it. I'm going to close that. Code metrics. Library. Oh, dang it. So, the one that's not working is topic. Double click that to stay open. Library item topic set. I think the problem is this. Let me just think so I can articulate this. What's happening is I'm not using a foreign key, so that's the first thing. I'm using an orderable. So I can't just simply follow the pattern set forth in the previous templates, because those are using foreign key in the reverse. So that's not going to work. Now I've got to find out what will work. Oh man, we're at 3 hours. Hanging in there, drinking some black tea, basically, some Earl Grey. Related name. Oh, right there. Library items. Oh, goodness gracious me. That did it. Just gotta read carefully. Nice. And then. And refresh. Boom. Worked. Now, I can just actually open this one. Copy this. And Yes, item, library item, got it. Dot, library item, should use multi-cursor there. Boom. Okay, we got everything working 2 ways. These are all the same, so simplicity, whatever, it's all working. Author. So whatever the reason that is not working, it's not listing my library items. That's just a feature that I haven't added yet. Let me just add that in our backlog. Mark that as low-hanging fruit also. By the way, Blue Barn, if you're interested in getting some practical Django experience, Django Wagtail experience, this is an open source project. It's open in not only that I'm showing the code on live stream, but the code is openly licensed and modifiable. We do have some items in our backlog that are marked as good first issue. I try to I honestly keep those as simple as possible. So this one is, what am I going to do? So from add, this is an example. I believe this is low-hanging fruit because it's essentially writing about that much code. Actually, just about this much code, because everything is wired up already. Good first issue. Something like that. It's, I think, a matter of changing this. Blue Barn says, that would indeed be cool. What experience would I need prior? Because I don't want to mess anything up as a newbie. Yeah, okay, well, on that note, you can't break anything. That's the cool thing. If you do, it's not a problem because we're using Git. We can roll things back. So nothing is permanently broken is what I'm trying to say. You're operating in a safe environment. Second layer of safety is that you wouldn't be able to just directly merge something into the master branch, and that's a safeguard that means that ensures there will be code review before anything hits the master branch. So the experience you would need prior would basically be the ability to clone a repository with Git. Either, you might want to fork it, but you could clone it directly, that's fine. Then to create a Git branch, and that's pretty straightforward, particularly it's basically just right here. You just kind of create one in VS Code. You say new branch, namey, and then you say I want to create it from this branch. So that's done. That's pretty simple, pretty done. DONE, simple. Takes a couple moments. And after that, you kind of just copy and paste, basically. So the other experience you would need would be, you know, navigating the file structure of a project. Oops, sorry, this is the environment, so this got quite a lot, but yeah, this project's not too complicated. And I think that's about it. You don't need any Docker or any Postgres. We're just keeping it simple, running SQLite. It's not the best practice. Yeah, and then again, just the template already exists in this for this specific example. If I look at the contact page, the template's already here, so you would just kind of more or less paste this in, and if it didn't work, figured out why. I think it would boil down to this needing to change. But yeah, you could certainly try any other things. Yeah, that's about it, I think, for that particular issue. And it's just a matter of having the fortitude to stick with it, even if you're tired or frustrated, and not to give up. Or if you wanted to just step away from a problem, you know, coming back to it after a while. Those type of things. That's the experience that will be the most helpful when you continue down this path of being a full-time developer. Where are we at? I'm kind of this right now. I think I'm done. I think I'm D-O-N-E. Everything indented right. What's the difference there? What? Oh, yeah, I kind of like that. Let's just make sure that the templates are all relatively the same. I like a little bit of space in my templates. A little bit of white space. A little bit empty space, emptiness. It's more like blue space here, but that way things stand out, things are easy to read. It's like paragraphs in a text or a novel. All right then, commit these. What are these called? Facet. Add facet templatos. Pushing the changes up. Yeah, and then the other, so mainly the main experience is Git. I think most of the things I mentioned are Git. Once you've created a branch, made some changes, then you need to push your changes. There was that little button I pressed down here that actually pushed it back up here. If you want to create a fork directly in our repo, that's cool. I'll just add you as a collaborator here, as a contributor, no problem. Once you've pushed your branch up, it'll have a little green button here that says create pull request, and then you just do that, and I'll say okay, cool, there's some code changes for this particular pull request. I'm going to redo it. I don't want to squash these migrations. That's just, maybe I do, I don't know, but in any case, the point stands that it's just a matter of making a pull request so that I can read it, and hopefully there won't be thousands of lines changed. And this is another example of the lint. I do have a little bot called Pep8 Speaks. Pep8, not Pepe. Don't want to hear Pepe. Don't want to hear from Pepe. We check the lines, a lot. There's trailing white space. So then cleaning up after ourselves. Line 76, facets, models, line 76. Let's go ahead and do this. Is this facets, models? That's library models. Okay. Everything is in my, actually I needed to go to library models. Dagnabbit. Sometimes their linter doesn't automatically clear up stuff for you. Library models. Yeah, and I'll just mention that we're a really laid back project here. Like, I'm totally learning as I go every day. Total learning adventure. You know, we've got several months that before this project's gonna be live. There's a lot of room for experimentation, a lot of room for failure. So there's no worry. Okay, I am now in library models. Line 62, 63, 64, 65, 66. Jeez, lots of them. Oh, it was this dang thing. Yeah, of course. When I was fiddling around with the lint, somehow I left a bunch of... I think there's a setting, VS Code, to show that. Yeah. Editor render white space. I will enable that. Although my lender is supposed to clear that up for me. There's a button for it even. I like buttons. I think the reason it's not is because I have lint on save disabled, so if I Ctrl-Shift-P format, that should pick some stuff up for me. If I check the changes both in models under library, but also models under facets, I just save Control-S. I check Git. No, facets didn't change. Oh, right, because it doesn't unsave. I just said that. There we go. Refresh. There we go. Now it's picking it up. So I had to manually format the document. Control-Shift-P to open up your command palette. Format document. Oh, it's also Control-Shift-I. Control-Shift-I to format the document. Good to know. And there's a setting in VS Code to format on save. I had to disable it to... I think there's a project I was contributing to that wasn't using Prettier, and I didn't want to sort of blast through. I wanted to follow their format, their code conventions. I don't remember why I disabled that, but okay. So lint. Simplicity and lint. Those are the lessons of the day, the themes of the day. Alright, now this should go away in a second. There's my lint. If I refresh now. No PEP 8 issues. By the way, let's take a look at PEP 8, the style guide for Python code. This is a good way to learn these conventions that have been around in our community. When we follow this, we're becoming better developers because we're learning from the experience of some people who've put a lot of thought and have gained a lot of experience, our predecessors basically. We're acknowledging that our knowledge is limited, our experience is limited, but we're drawing on the collective body of wisdom that's sort of embedded and embodied in our community. Embedded and embodied, yeah, something like that. Okay, I better get off line. I better end this session before I go waxing poetic, waxing just crazy. Did I commit and push everything? Yeah, it sure did. Okay, well, 3.5 hours, 2 a.m. But we have a successful pull request, 15 commits, a bit of stress with these migrations, a bug reported. I believe it was user error though, but I don't know what I was doing wrong. All right, Blue Barn, it was nice hanging out with you and chatting about web development. It's always great to have somebody active in the Twitch chat. Kind of helps get off topic a little bit, exploring some stuff, clearing out the brain when just staring at code. I'd like to ask me anything kind of sessions. I wish you well on your developer journey. Hope to see you around in the Twitch room or on GitHub, see what you're up to. Thanks to everybody else who's checked out this session, all the viewers on Twitch. If you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to leave any questions or comments below the video, and I'll try to respond to those promptly. If you got any suggestions on how I could better handle those migrations, that would be really cool, but anything else is welcome. All right, thanks again for watching, y'all, and have a great day.